Part 24. The doctor eventually cleared the room, satisfied that Rafe was stable. The nurse advised Serena to go home, to rest, but she shook her head firmly. "I'm not leaving him," her father tried gently. "Serena, you need to sleep. You've been here every day for 3 weeks. She cut him off, her voice trembling but determined. He was alone all this time. "Not anymore. If he wakes up again and I'm not here, what will he think?" Her father. "I'm not saying you should leave, just try and get some sleep. Okay?" But the look in her eyes made him relent. He simply nodded, gave her a kiss on the forehead, and left the room quietly, leaving the two of them in soft silence. Serena pulled the chair closer to the bed until she was right by Rafe's side. His hand rested in hers, and she kept brushing her thumb over his knuckles as if afraid he might slip away again. Rafe's eyes half opened now and then, heavy with exhaustion. Every time he found her watching him, her gaze steady and unyielding. "You, still here?" he murmured weakly. Serena smiled through her tears, leaning close so only he could hear. "Of course. Where else would I be?" Hours passed. The night deepened outside the hospital window. The city lights faded as the sunrise. Serena talked softly, telling him stories about how she mistakenly destroyed his coffee machine, and the little things she hadn't said before about herself. And all the time she didn't know, he was following her and protecting her. Rafe stares at her. The thought that Serena is smiling at him and talking to him made him smile. Then she continued talking about how she missed him and was scared he might leave her. At some point, her voice grew softer and softer, until she finally rested her head beside his knee, still holding his hand tightly. Sleep claimed her, her breathing evening out as her tear-stained cheeks pressed against the arm. Rafe stirred faintly, feeling the warmth of her hand in his. His lips curved into the barest shadow of a smile. He whispered, so quiet no one else could hear, "Thank you, Serena." And for the first time in years, he allowed himself to sleep peacefully, knowing she was right there. The following days turned into a quiet rhythm of care. Serena was always there, morning until night. She fed Rafe when his hands trembled too much to hold the spoon. She scolded him softly when he tried to push himself too fast. She brought fresh clothes from home, neatly folded with his favorite soap scent lingering faintly in the fabric. When the doctor said he should try moving, Serena was the one who steadied the wheelchair, pushing him carefully through the hospital corridors. At first, Rafe hated it being weak, being dependent. But every time Serena adjusted the blanket on his lap or crouched down to tie his shoelace because he couldn't bend, he saw no judgment in her eyes. Only care. Only love. One afternoon, during his walking exercises, the chairman appeared. His presence filled the room as usual, but this time there was something softer in his expression. He watched as Serena walked slowly backward, holding Rafe's hands while he took cautious, shaky steps. When Rafe finally lowered himself back into the wheelchair, exhausted but determined, the chairman stepped closer. "Rafe," he said quietly. Rafe lifted his head, wary but listening. The chairman's voice thickened just slightly. "Thank you for not giving up on us." The place fell silent. Serena blinked at her father, surprised at his uncharacteristic vulnerability. Rafe looked away, trying to mask the emotion rising in his chest. "I didn't do it for me," he muttered. "I stayed because of her." The chairman smiled faintly, as if he already knew the answer. "All the same, I'm grateful. You've given my daughter something I could never give her." Rafe's brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" The older man's gaze drifted toward Serena, who was fussing over folding the blanket back over Rafe's lap. "She has always lived in a cage, Rafe. Even when she smiled, I knew. She was lonely. You pulled her out of that. She isn't just my daughter anymore, she's someone's beloved. And that someone is you." Rafe's throat tightened. The chairman broke the silence. His voice was lower than usual, almost hesitant. "Rafe, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel as if I only kept you close to guard Serena, or if it seemed like I forced you into marrying her. I'm sorry. That was never what I wanted. I may have treated you more like a shield than a son. And if that made you feel left out..." Rafe shook his head quickly, cutting him off before he could finish. His tone was soft but certain. "No, sir. Please don't say that. I never felt that way. Everything I did, every choice I made, It was because I love Serena. Not because of duty. Not because anyone asked me to. The older man froze, caught off guard by the firmness in his words. Slowly, his expression softened. You really mean that? Rafe nodded, a faint, tired smile tugging at his lips. I've always meant it. Serena's father exhales deeply. For the first time, the lines of worry on his face eased, replaced by something gentler. Then I owe you more than I can ever say. Thank you, Rafe. Rafe stares at Serena, who is struggling to fold the blanket. He smiles. Then Serena stands up, looking at him at that exact moment, her eyes warm and full of trust. All the words died in his throat. He lowered his gaze. I'll protect her. Always. Because she's my wife. The chairman smiles. I know. Then he pushes Rafe forward. For the first time in a long time, Rafe didn't feel like just the boy in the shadows. He felt seen. It was strange, being home again. The chairman had arranged everything: a private nurse, medicine stacked neatly on the nightstand, even a special chair in the living room, so Rafe wouldn't strain himself. But still, the house felt different to him. Too warm, too alive, because Serena was there. That first evening, she appeared in his room carrying a tray of food. You didn't eat much at lunch, she said softly, passing the tray to him. So I made this myself. Don't complain. Rafe raised an eyebrow. You cooked? She crossed her arms, pouting. Don't sound so shocked. He smirked faintly. But when he tasted the soup, he froze. It wasn't perfect, too much salt, uneven cuts of vegetables, but it was the first time Serena cooked for him. Serena, is it good? Rafe, yes. She smiles. Then I will make more for you tomorrow. He smiled and lowered his gaze quickly, afraid she would notice the warmth spreading through him. Afterward, Serena helped him to the balcony for some air. The night was quiet, the garden below lit by small lanterns swaying in the breeze. She settled beside him, her hands on the rail. For a while, neither spoke. Then Serena broke the silence. You scared me, she admitted, her voice trembling just a little. When you didn't wake up. I thought you left me behind. Rafe turned his head slowly, studying her face in the moonlight. I almost did. Her eyes widened, but before she could speak, he added, but then, like I told you before, your mom helped. Serena bit her lip, tears already welling up again. Rafe, don't cry, come here. She hugged him tightly. Don't ever try to walk away again. Please. Rafe tightened his grip weakly, his hand brushing over her back. He wanted to promise her the world, but all that came out was a quiet, steady, I won't. They stayed like that, side by side under the stars, her head eventually resting on his shoulder. For the first time since that accident, Rafe allowed himself to breathe, not as her shadow, not as her bodyguard, not even as the orphan boy fighting for scraps of life, but as her husband. It had been a month since Rafe came back home from the hospital. His wound was healing, and though he'd been cleared to move more freely, Serena still fussed over him like he was made of glass. That night, she brought him his evening tea, and when it was time to sleep, she dragged a pillow and blanket toward the couch. Rafe leaned against the headboard, raising a brow. You're really doing this again? Yes, Serena replied stubbornly, smoothing out the blanket. Don't argue. I know you say you're fine, but I can tell you're still not fully recovered. If anything happens in the middle of the night, I need to be close. A small smile tugged at his lips. Serena, I don't feel pain anymore. Honestly, I could run down the street right now if I wanted. She shot him a glare. You're not running anywhere. Stop pretending you're invincible. She flopped onto the couch, smoothing her blanket. Besides, I know your little trick. Every time I fall asleep here, you carry me back to the bed. Rafe chuckled low in his throat, the sound making her ears burn. Then why not just sleep here? With me? We're husband and wife, or... He leaned forward slightly, eyes glinting. Are you scared? Her cheeks flamed instantly. She sat up in protest, voice a little too loud. I'm not scared. It's new. Okay? Don't say weird things. He smirked, then suddenly pressed his hand to his stomach with a soft groan. Wait, my abdomen. Panic crossed her face. She rushed from the couch to his side. Rafe, what happened? Are you hurting again? Should I call? Before she could finish, his lips curled into a grin. He looked perfectly fine. Serena froze, realizing she'd been tricked. You! He caught her wrist gently before she could retreat. His smile softened as he tugged her closer. She smacked his arm hard, her face scarlet. Don't ever do that again, Rafe smiling softly. Okay, I'm sorry. Please don't be mad at me. Princess, Serena, I'm not angry. Her face turns red. And don't call me princess, Rafe teasing. Then what should I call you? My wife, my baby, my sweetheart. Serena already flushed. Stop. As she met his lips to shut him up, Rafe froze. Serena. Stop talking, just don't. Before she could finish, he met her lips. Slow and steady. Serena. Wait, Rafe, stop. Rafe pulls back. Oh, I'm sorry for that, I shouldn't. Serena. No, that's not it. I don't want you to stop, but what about your wound? Rafe. I'm fine. Serena, I told you before. Serena stares at his flustered face and she finds it cute. The Rafe leans close, she could feel the warmth of his breath against her skin. Their eyes locked and suddenly neither of them was laughing anymore. Rafe's voice was low, almost hesitant. Can I? Serena, my wife. Her lips parted, and though her face was blazing, her reply came out breathy, shy but firm. Dummy, come here. That was all he needed. He slid his arm around her waist and pulled her flush against him, capturing her lips that started gentle but deepened quickly, as though he'd been holding it back for years. Serena clutched his neck tightly, her heart racing so fast she thought it might burst. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Rafe rested his forehead against hers, his voice husky. I love you, Serena. Serena, still flushed, whispered, I love you more, Rafe. That broke him. With a heated laugh, he scooped her up effortlessly into his arms. She gasped, instinctively wrapping her arms around his neck. Rafe, what are you? He silenced her with another, as he carried her toward the bed, his voice rough as he takes off his shirt. Exactly what you think. And this time, Serena didn't stop him. She looked at him, nervous but glowing, her cheeks flushed and lips still trembling. The morning light spilled gently through the curtains, bathing the room in gold. Serena stirred first, her lashes fluttering as she blinked into the brightness. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming, the weight of a strong arm wrapped firmly around her. As she turns, her eyes softened when she realized it was Rafe. The warmth of a body pressed against her, and the steady rhythm of a heartbeat. He was still asleep. His usually guarded face relaxed, lips parted just slightly. Without the intensity of his stare, or the sharpness of his expression, he looked almost boyish, vulnerable. Serena caught herself smiling, as she remembers what happened last night. Oh my gosh, we actually did it. Then a memory from last night. How Rafe was gentle and asked if she was okay. Every minute knowing it was her first time. She stirs and blush. Stop thinking about it, Serena. Yes, he's your husband. Okay, let's calm down. His eyes opened slowly, groggy but alert the instant he saw her. You're awake. His voice was low, husky from sleep. Serena blushed, realizing just how close they still were. You're holding me too tight, she mumbled, though she made no effort to pull away. Rafe smirked faintly, tightening his arm instead. Good, then you won't run. Her lips parted in protest, but he leaned down and met the top of her head, silencing her. They lay there for a moment, wrapped in silence and warmth, until Serena whispered, Why will I run away? Rafe tilted her chin up so she had no choice but to meet his eyes. His gaze was steady, full of quiet certainty. Maybe because you're scared of your husband, that will eat you. Her cheeks burned, and she shoved lightly at his chest. You really don't know how to say normal things, do you? He caught her hand before she could pull it back, meeting her lips. Not when it comes to you. Serena blushed softly, trying to hide how fast her heart was beating. She leaned against him again, letting his warmth surround her. For once, there were no worries, no responsibilities, just the two of them. In their own world, I told you, she teased softly. Her voice warm despite her blush. You always carry me back to bed. Rafe laughed against her skin, pulling her close until there was no space left between them. Then let me carry you every night because from now on, I'm never letting go. As she smiled as she drifted back into the quiet comfort of his embrace. I will always be here. For the first time since their marriage, they truly belonged to each other, no shadows. No fear, only love. The next morning after was softer than either of them expected. Serena asked him questions about himself, saying she wants to get to know him better, and Rafe answered even though he was half asleep. Later he scooped Serena up in his arms to the kitchen. Before she could protest, "Rafe, put me down," she whispered harshly, her cheeks flaming. He only smirked. "No, my wife deserves breakfast in style." He carried her through the hall as they talked. Serena clung him, half embarrassed, half secretly enjoying it. Then suddenly, there came a sharp knock knock knock. They froze. "Serena? Rafe?" Her father's deep voice carried through the door. Her eyes went wide. Oh no. Rafe's expression didn't even flinch, but his grip tightened on her. "We can say we were stretching. At this hour," she whispered, but her voice sharp. The knock came again. "Serena?" Rafe set her down so quickly she nearly stumbled, as Serena rushed to wear her clothes while Rafe stares at her smiling before opening the door. When he opened the door, her father stood there, sharp eyes scanning the both of them. "Good morning," Rafe said slowly. "Good morning, son. How are you? I have been calling both of you since yesterday. What happened to your phone?" As he steps inside, Serena appeared beaming, a little too brightly. "Good morning, Dad." Her father's gaze immediately dropped to the way she was limping slightly as she stepped aside. "What happened to your leg?" he asked, his brows furrowing. Serena froze, then blurted the first thing that came to mind. I fell down." Her father's eyes narrowed. Slowly, his gaze shifted from Serena to Rafe, who stood stiff as stone beside her, his jaw tight. "Did she?" Rafe coughed, trying to look casual. "Yes, sir. She fell. Very clumsy." Serena glared at him, then quickly smiled again. "Completely my fault." Her father crossed his arms, suspicious. Strange. You've never been clumsy before." There was a beat of silence. Then Serena blurted, "Well, maybe marriage makes me clumsy." Her father's eyes narrowed further, and Rafe suddenly found the floor extremely interesting. For a long moment, her dad just stared at them both, then finally smiling, "Okay, I just came to check up on Rafe health. Since I was in the neighborhood, and none of you are taking your call." Serena just smiles at him. "And Rafe?" He gave him a pointed look. "Make sure my daughter fall again this night." "Yes, sir," Rafe replied, trying not to choke on his own laughter. Serena walked into the door. As soon as the door shut, Serena smacked his arm. "You didn't help at all." He holds her as she tries to walk away, whispering against her ear with a mischievous grin, "You're the one who said marriage makes you clumsy. Now he'll think we're tripping over each other every night." Serena's face went scarlet. "Dummy." Rafe only laughed and carries her as they headed to breakfast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your notification to know when I upload the next chapter.